Alright, in this problem it tells us to graph, but they might tell us to graph using vertex form. Well, we know this is standard form because there are no what? There's no parentheses. But vertex form has a parentheses. Vertex form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Well, algebraically, how do you go from here to there? You're going to have to do something we did earlier called completing the square. So if I take this function here, f of x equals 2x squared plus 8x plus 7. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move that 7 way over here, so I have this plus 7. And then here, let's see if I can put it in a color. I'm going to factor out a 2. So I have 2 times x squared. If I factor out a 2, this one will become what? Plus a 4x. I'm going to leave it just like this. Talk to your partner in 7 seconds. What's the formula for completing the square? Class, is it negative b over 2a? It's not. That's actually a common mistake for students to think it's negative b over 2a. That helps us find the vertex of standard form. Completing the square is b over 2 squared. The b value, though, that I'm picking here is inside the parentheses. Where did I pick it, class? So here I have now 4 divided by 2 squared. And 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. So I'm going to put this plus 4 here. Let me see if I can put this in a different color. I do have red. Now let's think about this. Ignore the 7 here for now. 2 times x squared is 2x squared. 2 times 4x is 8x. 2 times 4 is, okay, pay attention. It's really here a plus 8. It just happened to me, like yesterday. Came home, got a letter from my bank saying, Mr. Ring, we made a mistake on your bank account. We gave you an extra bonus of $200, but that was wrong. So they said, we actually took away the $200. Am I happy? Am I sad? I didn't lose any money. I didn't make any money. The bank just made a genuine error. They gave me 200 and they took away the 200 equals 0. So essentially what you're doing here is the same thing. You're putting here, this is really a plus 8, and therefore I have here a minus 8. Let me explain that one more time. We factor it out of 2 here, and if you distribute, we get 2x squared, 8x, and this becomes a plus 8. You can't just randomly change an equation just because you feel like it, right? My bank account, I don't want them to touch it, right? As long as you add and subtract the same number, it's 0. It doesn't change what's in my bank account. So really here, a positive a and negative a equals 0. Alright. So we just finished completing the square. The next thing we're going to do here is just factor this. Inside the parentheses, I have a times c is 4. My b value is 4. Class 2 numbers that multiply to be 4, but also add to be 0. I'm sorry, add to be 4. 2 and 2. to review x box factoring, remember this is your 2x, this is your 2x. I took the numbers from inside the parentheses here, so that'll be an x squared and a plus 4. And if you take the greatest common factor out, what do you get? X. Greatest common factor here? Greatest common factor? And here. So my answer is x plus 2 and x plus 2. And negative 8 plus 7 is?
Negative 1.
Negative 1. And then basically we have 2 of these, so you can write this as they call it a perfect trinomial square. And basically what we've done so far is we basically went from standard form, no parentheses, to vertex form. What's the advantage of vertex form? Well, in its name it says the vertex. Let me write that one more time right below it. A times x minus h squared plus k. So basically what we're doing is we're doing another way of graphing the quadratic equation. My a value is 2. A positive a value does what to the graph? We know that it's opening up. Okay, pay attention here. There has to be a minus sign in this problem. So I'm going to write this as x minus a negative 2. So here, my h value is negative 2. And my k value is a negative 1. That doesn't look good. What that basically means is that my vertex, hk is your vertex, is negative 2, negative 1. And if you just make a quick sketch of what we've done so far. Left 2, down 1. There's my vertex. Let me highlight that in a color. Previously, in standard form, you found the vertex by negative b over 2a. Here, we're kind of doing it a little bit differently. I know that my y-intercept is 7. Making your x value 0, that becomes 7. So 2, 4, 6, 7. My graph's probably going to look something like this. Remember, my graph is actually folded in half on the vertex itself. My graph's going to look something like this. So in this problem, they didn't ask you to graph it. Kind of like what we're doing, basically, the big idea is going from standard form to vertex form. And that way you can identify the vertex algebraically.